Oh, hello, it is your boy Gomi, and we're coming hot off the end of UFC 284. The card that a lot of were touting as the probably most important card in the sport's history. The first time pound for pound number one would fight pound for pound number two. It was a pretty solid card. I will be perfectly honest with you. It was not the amount of level of hype that a lot of us were really looking for. It was not an insane, crazy, omega level hype card, but it had high amounts of talent and skill. So let's go over the card briefly, starting with the early prelims. We had Zurabaya, not even gonna try, versus Elvis Brenner. Elvis Brenner, the heavy underdog, managed to snag the win with a split decision. I disagreed with that. I'm not gonna lie. But it was a very close fight, to be honest with you, looking at the strikes. Overall, Zurabaya, he threw 2 more strikes, landed about 9 less, but he had 1 more significant strike. It's really that cut that Elvis had to him that got him the win. Regardless, I'm not as mad about it as someone like Bisping was. Bisping was very upset about that. Then we have Shane Young versus Blake Bilder. I'm not gonna lie, Shane Young just really did not have pop on his punches. Overall, Blake was able to get that decision overall. Neither guy really had a ton of urgency, ton of pop in their punches. It's literally just Blake was able to land more strikes, outlanding him by a solid, looks like about 30 to 40 strikes overall. I'm not going to try doing the math for that. But yeah, overall, average so fight. Then we had the women's strawweight fight, which is going to be Luma Lukbonmi versus Elise Reed. That was a pretty good fight, actually. That was a really good fight. Lots of action on the feet, standing up. Luma was able to damage Elise Reed, bust her up pretty bad, but then Elise was able to get on top and potentially maybe have stolen the first round. I still would give it to Luma, but then Luma, second round, came hot out, slammed her, got her back, and got that submission. That was beautiful. Submitted her 44 seconds into round 2. I am definitely looking forward to Luma's fights in the future. Jack Jenkins versus Don Shanice. Overall, that was a masterclass from Jack. Even though Don landed more strikes, actually, I'm looking on here. Well, overall, Jack landed more significant strikes, and he was really hurting him. He did a lot of damage with those leg kicks, and his combinations were just on point. He really poured on Dan, and that was just, ooh man, that was a good masterclass. Even though it was another decision, that was overall a pretty good fight. Spoiler alerts, there's only 2 knockouts on the card, which is insane. Jamie Malarkey versus Francisco Prado. Overall, again, both guys really didn't have a lot of urgency, really didn't have a lot of pop off on it, but Jamie overall was the more efficient striker. He landed more strikes overall and significant strikes, and he was able to get 3 takedowns. Jamie just looked like a much better fighter overall that night, but it was not an insane fair, but still a decent fight. Shannon Rosh versus Cleedson Rodriguez. Cleedson gets the first knockout of the night. 59 seconds into round 1, there was a lot of bad blood between each other. There was a lot of bad blood at the weigh-ins, the ceremonial weigh-ins, and it showed with this fight, but Cleedson just poured it on him. Just an absolute onslaught, dropped him and finished him. That was a quick night out. Joshua Kulibao versus Melsick. Not even gonna try it. Melsick again was a little bit of a douchebag at the weigh-ins from what I remember, but again, that was a pretty chaotic fight overall. Was able to get the second round submission. Pretty decent fight. Tyson Pedro versus Modestas. Not gonna try it. I'm so sorry, my pronunciation for these names is just not on point. Tyson Pedro and Modestas did not look good. Both of them really looked sloppy. Both of them looked really slow. Pedro looked like he might have been compromised, I'm gonna be honest with you. Perhaps in that early grappling exchange round 1, he hurt himself potentially. I'm not sure. Whatever the case is, was not that great a fight, but Modestas was able to cinch out, and he was able to get the decision victory. Now on to the main card. This is what I'm going to spend most of my time talking about, But I'm going to be honest with you, there's not a lot to talk about because there were some pretty fast finishes up until the main event. So first, we're going to have the light heavyweight fight between Jimmy Crute and Alonzo Menifield. That was a draw, a decision, a draw. Not a lot of people really saw that fight going the distance. I had a sneaking suspicion, but I didn't think too much of it. But looks like I was accurate. It ended up being a decision. Not what I put in my picks, unfortunately, but it was a poor fight. Like, a lot of people thought it was very exciting. It was very exciting in the very start, but just I couldn't stand Alonzo Menifield had poor fight IQ. He fixed his issue, what I said, which was slapping. He was doing a lot of slapping with his strikes, but the thing is, while he cleaned up his strikes and Jimmy Crute had nothing on the feet for him, nothing when it came down to it. Jimmy Crute was just heavily outboxed. Alonzo gassed, Jimmy gassed, but Alonzo was able to get him down to the ground, and he just started slapping his head, basically. That wasn't going to get him out there. Crute was eventually going to reverse the positions and almost won. Alonzo really should have just been railing knees to the body. When he had him twice in round 1 and round 2, when he had him down there, he was covering up in fetal position. He should have railed knees to the body, a la GSP versus Matt Slayer 2. But Alonzo did not have the fight IQ to do that, and he couldn't capitalize on that. Fast forward to round 3, he does that cage grab, and he gets a point deducted. Now, Mark Goddard, he's a pretty good ref, and yes, that's cheating. Grabbing the cage like that is cheating, especially when Jimmy Crute was getting a takedown. But the thing is, Mark Goddard, even himself, and other refs, they need to be harsher about it. That you take a point for every single one, because I just, whoever the case is, very lackluster final round, which ended up leaving in the fight, which would have been a much more exciting fight on a rather sour note. And I just couldn't get over how poor Alonzo Menifield's fight IQ was, and Jimmy Crute did not feel like he was all that, to be honest with you. Next fight was going to be Justin Tafa versus Parker Porter. Swing and bang, big boys, swing and bang, throw down. Justin Tafa ended up being the better fighter. Like I said, I was not very high on Parker Porter, and lo and behold, Justin Tafa was able to hit him with a beautiful counter straight left hook, a left hook straight down the middle on a much overextending Parker Porter that was able to honestly probably knock them out, but then he followed up with a beautiful short counter right uppercut, took him out, just took Porter out. It was pretty entertaining, I'm not gonna lie. I really liked the swing and bang. I was happy that they swang to bang. It wasn't a Parker Porter lay and pray. Justin Tafa, I was very impressed with that boxing. Is he gonna go super far in the deep heavyweight division now? Maybe not, but overall, nice little bit of excitement. Next fight, Jack Della Maddalena versus Randy Brown. I expected more from Randy Brown, and I expected something differently from Jack Della Maddalena. The main takeaway from this is Jack Della Maddalena is a beast. He is a savage. He has beautiful fighting instincts. He did struggle Randy Brown's range. Like I mentioned, Randy Brown had a ton of range, and that's a massive advantage over him, especially at the welterweight division, with Jack being a shorter, stocky boxer. Randy Brown gave him a lot of problems, but the very second that Jack was able to penetrate his guard via his long reach, one shot, dropped him, and instead of doing what Alonzo did against Crute and just hitting him on the side, maybe stalling into the end of the round, or maybe Randy Brown was able to turn around and survive, he saw Brown extended his neck and he got that submission. Despite Jack Della Maddalena not being a submission guy, hardly having any submissions from what I understand, he was able to just cinch in that submission. He had beautiful fight IQ and finishing instincts, and that's why he was able to get his fourth first round finish. That is amazing. Absolutely insane. He has 2 wins by submission, this being his second win by submission. It was just amazing how quick he was able to get in that choke. And man, I'm really looking forward to Jack Della Maddalena. What is he going to do next? I would like to see him fight someone to get ranked. A fight I could think of is, even though he's not ranked at welterweight, he damn well should be, which is going to be RDA, Rafael Dos Anjos. I think that would be a fun fight, to be honest with you. And Dos Anjos, he really wants to go to the welterweight division. He did fight an unranked Bam Bam, Brian Barberina. So why not do a welterweight fight against Jack Della Maddalena? Overall, very excited for his future. Very excited. I hope he fights 3 times again this year, but it's going to be hard because they got to put him on pay-per-view. You have to put him on the main card on pay-per-view. Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett. This is, in my opinion, I feel one of the funner fights of the night. I was very impressed with Yair. I do trash Yair for his fight mentality. Now, when I say fight mentality, I mean like if you're taking fights, like BMF stuff, like Gilbert Burns taking every fight he can get, Israel Adesanya taking as many fights as he wants, taking the hard fights and stuff like that. That's what I think about when I think about fight mentality. Yair Rodriguez has very poor fight mentality, but in terms of fight skill and being a fighter, he's amazing. He's absolutely elite fighter. But the thing is, you just look at his schedule, and like since 2019, he's had like what, 5 fights, 4 fights, one being a no contest. Like that's, wait, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4. He's had 4 fights since 2019. The guy fights once a year basically, and that's just meh. But when he does fight, I always go, damn, he's good. He was accurate, he was on point, he was sharp. I did mention his struggle in terms of his striking, in terms of his hands. Like, he did not have a lot of punching power, while Josh Emmett actually had some really good punching power. Josh Emmett was a lot tankier too, but he just ultimately was not able to take Yair. Yair quickly hurt him to the body, discovered he hurt him to the body, spammed those body kicks, some win and some win. Basically just kept spamming that to the point where Emmett was just basically hunched over defending his body. Well, guess what? Yair went now with a kick up to the top and damaged him. Cut him, hit him. He had some very dynamic strikes. Like that spinning heel hook kick was just a mask for his big right hand. That's just amazing. That's really crafty and innovative stuff. And he doesn't waste technique, and he doesn't gas out from this stuff. That's the thing. Hey, he looked fresh as a daisy. Come round 2, he lands a big flying knee, puts him in a position where he's down on the ground. Well, he's a very versatile fighter. He's not one-dimensional. He submits him. He gets that submission from the bottom. But before that, raining down elbows with a beautiful torque, torquing his body backwards and hailing them down from below, doing damage to Emmett. Emmett did do some good damage when he did get him on the ground in the first round, and he landed some pretty good elbows and big shots. But ultimately, Yair was just on point. He is absolutely elite. He is worthy of fighting Alexander Volkanovski next. I disagree with this being a title shot. I don't like the interim kind of BS that they had going on, but for number 1 contender, makes sense. And Yair, definitely, after Volkanovski beat Holloway 3 times, the only one who could stand up against him is Volkanovski. So I lean a little bit towards Volkanovski, especially after seeing how he handled the main event. The main event, Islam Makhachev defeated Alexander Volkanovski with a decision. Now, a lot of people were not enthralled with this fight. Thought it was a little bit boring. A lot of people are saying Volkanovski won. No. Volkanovski fought amazingly well. He definitely gave Islam his best fight by far. And he proved that, honestly, if he were to move up to lightweight, he'd have great success against pretty much almost everyone in the lightweight division. I think only the top 3, which would be Dustin, Oliveira, and Islam, would really be able to put up some trouble against him. I think low-key he would beat Oliveira, but he would struggle against Dustin. Not due to striking, but due to power, because we were able to see Islam was actually able to hurt Volkanovski, landed some really big shots. So I feel just the power would be the main problem. And while Oliveira has great power, he has super poor striking defense, and Volkanovski was able to clip Islam, while Oliveira wasn't able to touch Islam, basically. Now, was it a boring fight? It was the most exciting fight, but was it a boring fight? Boring fights are like Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis, Israel Adesanya versus Romero, Wonder Boy versus Woodley 2, Rose versus Esparza. Those are boring fights. This fight had a lot of strikes into it, a lot of dynamic striking. It was very on the fence, like it was like on the edge of our seats, wondering what was going to happen. I think it was a good fight, but not the most exciting one. I definitely give it to Islam. He showed why he's a champ. He did struggle quite a bit, but overall, his takedowns, his ground control, and his striking. The main problem why this wasn't as exciting as a fight is mainly due to both of them were too good. Because when you get 2 fighters who are simply just too good, there's times where it just won't be an exciting fight because they nullify their strengths. They nullify their strengths, and then they don't have much weaknesses. that's the thing about Volkanovski is Volkanovski had he had so much respect for his wrestling, he didn't have as much respect for his striking. Islam Makhachev had so much respect for Volkanovski's striking, he didn't have much respect for his grappling. I.e., Islam really struggled to get it down to the ground. He was able to here and there, and Volkanovski really struggled to get things going on the feet. And in fact, Volkanovski is able to reverse it and was able to get on top of Islam, land some ground and pound at the end, while Islam landed a lot of straight left hands. Even though Volkanovski outstruck him, Islam landed the more damaging shots. He busted him up. He hit him really bad a few times. Like, a lot of people won't look at, but he like rocked Volkanovski a few times. Because just Islam's a crafty striker. He's got really good defense. He really knows where to move his head. He does it in unorthodox manners. And his left straight is good. It's a good shot. A lot of people compare him to Khabib. Khabib, even at the end of his career, really had ineffective striking. Islam Makhachev's striking is decent. Is it the best in the division? No, but it's definitely good enough to go up against one of the greatest strikers in the UFC currently. Ultimately, Islam Makhachev is the pound for pound number one. A lot of people are not going to agree with that. Some people are still going to say it's Volkanovski. I think it's Islam, and I do think Islam won that fight. But I will be honest with you, depending on the next card with the return of John Jones, Islam's probably going to lose that spot. Like, if Jones comes out and looks like prime Jones and takes out Cyril Gane, Jones is going to take that number one pound for pound spot. If he gets knocked out by Gane, then no. If it's a close fight and Gane still wins, or if it's a close fight and Jones still wins, he might. I don't know. Regardless, overall, it was a decent card. I give it a pass, but I'm really excited for the next 3 cards coming up. Let me know what you think of the card in the comment section below. This has been your boy Gomi. Bye-bye.